Hey fam, what's going on? This is Jessica Pickens. Welcome to Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths podcast.
Hi guys, welcome to Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths. I'm Jayla Pickens, the oldest daughter.
Tyrone Pickens, the father.
And I'm Jessica Pickens. I'm the mom and the wife.
Awesome. So we're going to give you guys our point of view of our 20 plus years in being a blended family. And what that looks like for us. There's ups, there's downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. All right, so we're just going to jump right into it. Tell me what made you want to start doing Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths.
You thought we should have had a reality show a long time ago because we had a bunch of characters, number one, in our family, and drama sells, y'all. Apparently drama sells. Right. But for real, God actually gave me the title Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths probably about 8 years ago. And the notion is that just like in traditional families, there are some foundational principles and truths to healthy relationship, right? And so there are some things that no matter what your background is, no matter where you come from, that if you consider, address, talk through, work on certain things foundationally, it can assist with making sure that you have a more healthy marriage, family, relationship, period, right? For us and for every blended family, it's way more complex. It's like exponentially more complicated because by the nature of being a blended family, and let me take a step back. Let me learn what I've learned in the business world, right? Let me not assume that every single person knows what a blended family is. So let's define that. A blended family is when you have two people that come together and they are blending two separate families, as in typically, obviously, that means children involved. Sometimes the wife or the husband, one or the other, may have kids, both may have kids, and you could have one person that has kids with different other co-parents. So you could have exponential layers of what an extended family looks like when you're talking about blending families. So versus a traditional family, mom, dad, and child or children that are just theirs, right? And so for us, there's a lot so we were a bit crazy, y'all. I'm gonna just say that again. This is my tagline, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but we met and married within 90 days. And we'll get into more of that. Real crazy. And we can peel back. We will be peeling back lots and lots of layers as we go on this journey with you all. But there was so much that you think you know and understand because you think you know and understand relationship when you're. I was 29. You were 31.
Older.
Oh, okay, older.
I was
older. And I had been through a lot in life, so I thought I had the relationship thing on lock, and I just knew I was ready to be a wife, and I was ready to do it correctly. I didn't want to be fornicating and
boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, I didn't. And when we met, I our blended family started out with I was a single mom. I had my firstborn son, and okay, we're going to get into that later, apparently. So anyhow. Let me take a step back. I was explaining blended families. For us, we each brought children to the pot, and then we had children together. And so we blended our existing children who we raised, had full custody, had full, everybody full time, and then had additional children, and then took other children in. So we were blended upon blended and extended.
A bit crazy.
Blended times 3.
Right.
Yes. So the goal of doing this, the purpose, which is the original question you had, is to help other people.
Yeah,
there is so much stuff that we didn't think about, to plan about, consider at the beginning. We did the premarital counseling. We did what's your budget? I was proud. What's your credit score?
Mm-hmm. Mine was 0, but anyway.
It's not now. It's okay, boo. We good.
It's not.
What is your debt? So some of the things that you go through in traditional premarital counseling, there are a whole nother layer of topics
that we didn't even consider. Yeah.
That from our opinion and our experiences should absolutely be discussed, considered, worked on, talked about up front to be able to be prepared to be in the best position possible to blend families, to become a blended family. And I'm going to pause there.
What was your take on her wanting to actually do the Blended Family podcast, like starting it?
So I think for me, there were a lot of questions, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to talk about this? What are we going to share? What are we not going to share? And as we talk more about it, it really became the word reality really talks about, for me, being transparent, sharing this information with everyone, because what we've been through may help someone. So it's not us just talking about stuff that we've experienced, but talking about how do we help people and how do we get them to transition into being a healthy blended family opposed to being a fragmented blended family. And I think as we continue to, as Jess said, peel the onion and get to the root of it, and as we go through each layers, for me, that's going to help somebody. That's going to empower some people. That's going to give some foundational information so that they know where to start. And even if they've already started, how to go through and not have the same challenges that we have.
With the ultimate goal, and we'll get it. The ultimate goal is that if we can be transparent, like he said, and this is not comfortable or easy, right? So I'm gonna just, it's not
easy peasy.
Easy to open your life up, understanding what that may or may not mean as far as
people. It's crazy.
And people be peopling.
And people waiting.
They be peopling. The whole goal here is that if we can share information, our story, our truths, and share, but this is not just about us talking, like Ty said, right? This is, we are going to share, right? We are here to present, hey, here are the issues that we identify, and here is how we resolve them. Because we want to be a part of being able to prevent divorce. We are faith-based, we are Christians, and let's just, hands down, there is no way we would be sitting here in the same house, still married, without Jesus.
Because I had to pray for her a lot. Daily, weekly, by the minute.
Every day, all day.
Bless her.
It's okay. Listen, I tell him all the time, and y'all know, as your mom, I am no walk in the park. I ain't got no problem. And
she's not 3 walks in the park.
Oh my God. Okay.
She's not a swim, a boat.
None of the above.
A carriage ride.
But hey, here's one of those things, right? Admitting is the first step, right? And so I know I'm a difficult, complex, tough cookie.
I'm going to make her remember this.
That's all right. Keep it coming. I'm going to make you a t-shirt. Okay. I know. Okay.
So let's move forward. So the episode premise of today is called The Meat. Okay. So I'm going to ask them.
And not steak, but the meat.
The meat. MEET. Okay. So I'm going to ask them a few questions. They're each going to answer from their point of view. And let's see what happens. Okay. So our first question is, how did you all meet from your points of view?
So she was sweating a brother.
Oh my gosh. I was like, who gets to go first on this one? Wow.
So typically it would be ladies first. But in this scenario, I need to tell my truth because her truth is going to be completely different. So at the time, the ministry that we were involved in, we were building a playground for the ministry we were involved in. So we came in early that morning and we're all, digging ditches and setting poles.
We is him and some other men. So let's clarify.
And other men. So during this process, we're in this trench because we had to lay a water line or whatever it was. And we're like 6 feet deep. And because there was electricity out there for the lights and there were, water lines for the water fountain. So we're trenching and we're in this trench and it's about 6 feet deep. And so we're in this hole and there was another person down there, 2 other guys, and they were talking about, one of them was referring to this young lady that he liked. And he said that they were going to be married. And so as we're down there, about mid-morning happens. And so I'm still working, and this is my truth. And so then,
and I'm gonna sip my coffee while you tell it.
So then, this very attractive, shapely young lady appears at the top of the trench there. I kind of look up. I'm like, So then one of the gentlemen that were down there with us, he was like, "Hey, do you have a shirt or a sweater or whatever with you?" She's like, "Yeah, let me run back to my car." And I'm like, "Oh." So I left it alone. So later on, we're out of the trench and we're inside the church, and she's in there bebopping around, and I was coming out of the restroom, and she says, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm good." She's like, she was in charge of the singles ministry. And, she said, "Hey, do you want to come to my barbecue I'm having on such and such?" I think it was September 14th to be exact. She said, "I'm having a barbecue on September the 14th. This is my truth."
That didn't happen that day, but keep going.
It did happen that day.
It's his truth.
It's my truth.
So it's inaccurate information.
She invites me to the barbecue. Okay. So she invites me to the barbecue, which I think was the following weekend. And so I said, "Okay, fine, I'll show up." So I show up at the barbecue, and there was another brother that was part of the singles ministry. And he was like, "Hey," and let me back up. That Sunday, so this was on a Saturday, that Sunday, after church, I rode by her house to see where she was at. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I was stalking. So then the next weekend was the barbecue. I go to the barbecue, and one of the singles guys, he opens the gate, and it was held at her house. Okay. So then he let me in. He was like, "What are you doing here?" And this is very fortuitous, I think is the word. He says, "What are you doing here?" And I said to him, "I'm here to find my wife."
Ooh.
That was really what I said to him. I said, "I'm here to find my wife." So I started mingling.
Okay.
I was outside.
He did start mingling.
I was outside
because there were other candidates at the outside singles ministry barbecue event.
This is my truth. So I'm outside. I'm outside mingling.
Never better, brother. Never better.
Never better. Outside mingling. And so then I'm like, I don't see the host.
Light skin, dark skin, Caucasian. Which way do we go?
So in my mind, I'm like, where is the host? Where is Miss Redbone? So I go inside to use the restroom or whatever, and she's inside, cleaning up and moving things around because everybody's out in the yard having a good time. And so we began conversing, and I believe this is both of our truths, but we'll see. But we spent the majority of the day, if not the rest of the day, in the kitchen. I was helping her with dishes, and she was like, she was taking plates and stuff. I was like, "Oh, I got the same, Tupperware at home." They sell more than one set, but I was trying to holler. So we literally spent the majority of the day in the kitchen, talking and just kind of getting to know one another. And some other things occurred, there was, I went upstairs to go to the restroom or whatever later in the evening, and there was a friend of hers lying across her bed watching television. And so towards the end of the evening,
it was a male friend.
Yes, let me refer. It was a male friend.
It was a guy.
A YRN for the people that know. People that know.
What's a YRN? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So whatever the YRN is. And so
I wouldn't co-sign that until you know what it
right.
is.
So I'm in trouble now. So at the end of the evening, everybody's leaving and everybody's getting food and everybody's, good night, see you all tomorrow at church, et cetera, et cetera. She leaned in I was about one of the last people to leave, and she leaned in to give me a hug or whatever it was. And I was like, "Oh no." I stuck my hand out. I was like, because in my head, I'm like, first, she's trying to holler at the dude in the trench. Second, now she got this other brother laying across her bed, and now she's trying to give me a hug or whatever. I'm like, here go my hand.
Game recognized game.
Exactly. So I left her with my business card. I'm like, "Hey, if you ever need any help with mortgages," because I was working for a mortgage company at the time, I was like, "Give me a call." So that was kind of how that got started. And
Nice.
yeah.
What's your point of view? What's your take?
So the most of what he described from my perspective, because y'all know I've taught on this and we'll keep teaching on it. My perspective is my reality. Doesn't mean it's yours or anybody else's. So no, the majority, yes, it was factual. Now his here you go again. So there, while like the other gentleman that was in the trench that he was talking about, like I wasn't involved with nor dating either one of these guys.
But she gave him a shirt.
No, we were friends. Cut it out. He needed a sweatshirt, whatever, and. The complicating factor was that, right, in his eyes, I mean, he had told the pastor he was going to marry me and all this. We weren't even dating. It was like crazy. So it was like, yeah. But, and the gentleman, the male friend of mine that he saw laying across my bed, it was because he was watching a show that I was like, you ain't going to sit down here and take up the TV. Just go upstairs. And so it was like completely innocent. But actually, you probably don't remember this. You, because the part that you left out was,
had to go to the bathroom?
No, you actually took a nap. You you were tired. You were 5. And you were tired. And so we took you upstairs. That's how he saw the guy. He carried you upstairs.
Yes, that's correct.
So that you could lay down.
In the bed. I'm sick of this.
And so we were taking you to the guest room because you were tired and you wanted to lay down and you were saying your head hurt. If you remember, Miss Gina was rubbing your temples. That's that picture.
That's that day?
That's that day.
Oh, wow.
That was the day of the barbecue. That was the day that you met me for the very first time.
Wow.
And she was massaging your temples because you said you had a headache. And then he was taking you up. We took you upstairs so you could take a nap. Because the boys were outside playing. We had met. That's the first day them and Jalen met, and they were out in the back on the trampoline. Did he have the trampoline then? I can't remember. I don't know. But anyway, so most of what he said, yes. And so we talked really, and he's correct. We were in the kitchen all day long. So while he rolled up there thinking he was assessing the lay of land, but see, there were other folks assessing the lay of the land too. So like there was a different female who kept trying to come give him a plate of food and kept trying to, do you need anything and all that? And I was just looking like, keep trying, girl.
You
okay.
mine now.
So we were, and we did. We spent hours that day just talking, and from my perspective, I'm a person that, I always do things very quick, very hard, very fast. And that can be a pro or a con, depending upon the scenario.
She's like, you finna marry me right now.
Let you tell it, right. And so at the end of the night, he's right. I went to hug him because I'm a hugger. I'm a, touchy-feely person. And so he stuck his hand out. And I was like, okay, now Jesus. I was like,
no, you weren't like Jesus. You was like this.
I was like, what is going on? No, so a little bit of background and context. Prior to this time, I've been through a lot of things, a lot of relationships, and I was at a point, I landed in Springfield because of this church, right? That's why I was actually trying to move to California. That was my goal. And God dealt with me so heavily that I needed to move to Springfield to be a part of this particular ministry. Because my sister, my brother-in-law, my sister is my spiritual mom, and her and my brother-in-law were there, had moved there because of the ministry. My mom was there, but I was still trying to get away from everything and everybody even though I had a gap after I graduated college. Jalen was 3 years old. No, Jalen was, I'm sorry, at that point, 6. And when I moved to Springfield. And so I had been going through this season I had been to so many weddings. I was like, I'm not going to another wedding until it's mine. I was sick of seeing everybody else get what I wanted. And it was very hard for me. And so I had hit a point where I was like, I just, so for context, it just was, I was involved in the young adult ministry, and that's what it was, right? It wasn't, it was the young adult ministry. It wasn't the singles ministry.
I was an old adult.
Yeah. So that's what it was. So anyway, that night I just felt like Jesus, I've been out of the game for a minute, but I know I still got a little something to work with. Like, why is he extending his hand? And so I just was oblivious. I had no idea that he thought dude was my guy and all of this. And so the next day at church, I got a little extra special, glam. I, had long hair at the time. And so I will
never forget that red dress.
Back, y'all, like real hair, real inches.
No tracks. Okay. No tracks.
None of that. And so, I jazzed it up a bit because we spent hours that day just talking, organically. Yeah, and it did. And it did. And he was, it just his character, his demeanor, his personality. He thinks he's a free comedian half the time, but his sense of humor. And so
you're an a free comedian. It's crazy.
So I was like, what is going on? And so the next day at church, I put a little extra on it. Mm-hmm. But I was still getting nothing. And I was like, I know he seen me.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt. So because I know y'all's story, this brings me to the next question. What was your dating like? And let mom start. Yeah, let mom start.
Yeah,
it was quick.
I don't even consider it dating because that was a Saturday and he had the date right, September 14th, 2002. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we literally just had 22 years, 22nd anniversary of that day, right? Like September 14th is always my anniversary of our first date, even though it wasn't even a date, right? There was no dating. Because that Saturday, the barbecue happened. Sunday, he ignored me at church because he thought I had a boyfriend. Sunday night, me and Jesus had a conversation as I participated in premeditated sin and told the Lord, I know what I'm doing with the refinance on this mortgage. I know I ain't got no questions. But I'm going to call him and act like I got a question because I'm trying to figure out why bruh man ain't trying to talk to me.
So if I refinance, is the wires on my car going to work?
Exactly.
Yes, they will, as long as you say yes to me.
I called him that Sunday night and, pretended like I had a question. And we talked for a few minutes, but then we took a break because I needed to get Jalen to bed and he needed to get the three of you to bed. And we took a break, put kids to bed, and then we got back on the phone probably about 9:00.
Yep.
And we talked from 9:00 at night until literally after 5:00 in the morning.
So I had to take a vacation day the next day because the brother was tired. I had luggage under my eyes. And so, yeah.
So we did the high school thing. We were on the phone all night long.
You was vacuuming the stairs.
Man. And so I'm a very, and again, this can be good, but it can also be detrimental sometimes. But I'm very transparent and I shared everything with him. And I was like, look, I've done just about everything short of prostitution. Thank the Lord. Never had that experience. But I've done a lot, and again, that's why this isn't particularly comfortable when you're willing to open up and be transparent. Yeah. But I laid it all out there and I made it clear to him because I was 29. I said, what I'm not going to do is look up and be 40 talking about this my boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody doing that. Right. Not with you, not with anybody. But I was like, I am at a point where if you're not, I'm dating with the intention of marriage. And so if that's not where you're at, I don't have time for you. I don't.
Yeah.
And we proceeded then. So throughout the night, we just talked and shared each other's histories past. Some of which all the truth didn't come out that night on somebody's side, but that's a whole nother episode.
Let me clutch my pearls.
Anyway, but the next day, like you said, he took a vacation day. The very next, so Saturday was a barbecue. Mm-hmm. Sunday night on the phone all night long. Mm-hmm. Monday, he told our pastor and who was my spiritual father at the time and Dad Walton, who was like, I don't even know how to describe. That's
yeah,
man.
And we'll talk more about him, I'm sure later.
But he said, I found my wife. And he talked to both of them that day on a Monday to get permission from the two of them to marry me. And we were talking about, and I actually called my Jesus with skin on her, my sister, and I'm getting, I found, which you typically I would shy away because, talking to my sister Teresa was like, literally talking to Jesus. So, she makes you contemplate and think about the things that you're going to do. So from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we were talking to people saying, this is it.
Yep.
And he says that I told him by email that we were going to get married.
I printed it out and saved it, but she threw it in the fireplace.
And so I don't remember that.
As getting rid of the receipts.
I don't remember that at all. What are you talking about? See, this is subjective. But nonetheless, Wednesday we went and found my engagement ring. That next Friday, 6 days later, the three of you had moved into the house with Jayla and I because he was in transition anyway.
Right.
So in less than a week, you go from 0 to we're engaged, we're getting married.
Y'all was just coming over to play. Y'all stay.
Right. And so,
yeah, we like
they're
we
really
moving right in.
There really
there
was no dating, and that's one of the things that again, y'all, we made it by the grace of God, but I wouldn't.
An anomaly. Don't try this at home.
Please do not.
An anomaly.
Please do not.
But
we survived though.
We did. But and that's why part of what we'll remind people all the time, we met and married in less than 90 days because that barbecue was September 14th, and I had seen him a couple times. But that
goes to show what I told y'all the other day, God will hide you so your husband can find you.
And so what we discovered is...
Well, hold on. I want to... The 90 days. So September 14th was the barbecue. December 7th. You know how you do that to me on the table? This is how he tells me, y'all, you're talking too loud. Or quit talking. Right. But we were married December 7th. So less than 90 days.
See, it ain't worked. Oh, it worked. Good. So... I forgot what I was going to say.
What your dating was like.
Y'all gonna make my job hard.
So our really actual...
You're over here tearing up. I know it's emotional. It's okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So our real first date was at Cheddar's. Remember?
It was lunch with Al, your best friend.
Right. But
wasn't really a...
In his point of view, it was.
It cost me some money. It was a day. It cost me money.
Well, days don't always have, we can go for a walk in the park and call it a day. I don't know what y'all got going on. It don't have to cost money.
So this is what happened. I called my guy and I'm like, hey, I think I found the one. I want you to meet her. And so he said, okay.
He was coming down anyway. He was in Chicago.
Yeah. So he was like, when and where? I told him. So we meet at Cheddar's.
And back then, Cheddar's was expensive.
No.
Okay.
Whatever. So we get to Cheddar's. He and I are sitting there talking. I'm like, bro, she is the one. I'm telling you. Wait till she turned that corner. And I'll never forget it. She had on this peach or orange, red, whatever it was. Maybe I don't remember.
Pink and white stripes.
It was pink and white stripes,
Peach
and
shirt dress. One of them,
And let me tell you something. Either she was hugging that dress or that dress was hugging her.
Oh.
But I was like, good God Almighty. So then the crazy part was this. So she sat down, we were talking, and the lady came with the menu, and she just started ordering stuff she wanted. And to this day, spinach artichoke dip.
Yes, sir.
And then she ordered salad, and then and chicken
tenders. That's not it was a chicken tender salad.
Let me tell you something. She ordered more than that.
Oh my God.
So I was in my seat like, oh, let me look at what I got in my wallet. I'm like, give me water and toast. Like, give me water and toast. So then she says, I'm not a salad girl. I like to eat. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So
the lady will take a salad. I think not.
we want a small cup of water and just a piece of lettuce is what we want. So it was cool. That was really our first time out in public together, if you will, outside of when we...
Less than 48 hours from the barbecue.
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
So the timeline was September 14th. We met. September 21st, we were engaged. And...
No, prior to then. It wasn't even a week. It wasn't.
This is my truth. Didn't you ask?
You're looking for facts. It was less than a week. The kids moved in on that Friday, 6 days later. We went ring shopping on the Wednesday.
The 20th would be 6 days later. The 21st would be
when she sent the email.
No, the email came Tuesday. Monday was lunch. Tuesday was the email. Wednesday we were ring
That's
shopping.
the 21st.
No.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
How did you know that you guys were the one for each other? So how did you know he was the one? What was something that was significant in making you like, you know what, this is the one?
So I'm going to be real transparent again. I believe that he is my soulmate and the best fit for me that I've ever encountered? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think there's only one person for you roaming the face of the planet, right? I think that people have choices, and there are people that...
You're replaceable.
But, and I mean that because, that's just truth, right? I think that you encounter people, and things don't work out for different reasons. But what attracted me to him, and why did I believe and know that he was the one for me that I had, up until that time, his character. He was, number one, I have been through a lot. Again, peel layers back later, because every family, you got to look at each individual's
unpack some things.
Story and where they come from and what they've experienced. And so I have been through a lot of relationships, from my father to relationships I have been in with various men that involved a lot of deceit, a lot of lying, cheating, different forms of abuse, quite frankly, from mental to physical, just not fun stuff, not good stuff, right? But when spending that time in the kitchen that day at the barbecue, when you, and this is another thing, for me, it's my faith in Christ and my relationship with Christ that gives me a spirit of discernment. You can, and some people call it your gut, for me, your Holy Ghost, right? You can, is this a good person or not? If you get the heebie-jeebies talking to somebody and you feel like, ooh, walk away, don't allow your flesh, your emotions to override what again, for me, Holy Ghost, if y'all don't believe in it, that's fine. I don't, but your gut, whatever, instinct, women's intuition, whatever title you want to put on it, I was very at peace and comfortable talking to him. There was no, there was no, you talk to guys when you out in the streets and even, exactly, and you can sense,
Mac is what it was. Oh my God,
just okay. But so I knew with talking to him, and he was a single dad. He had full custody of you all, of his 3 children from his first marriage, which said a lot about his character and his level of responsibility and being dependable. Those were core foundational characteristics that were a must-have for me, because I've seen a lot of and been involved with a lot of folks that didn't have those things consistently or as core, right. And a lot of that had to do, may have been immaturity, but he was mature, he was responsible, dependable, and he just came off authentic and genuine. And to me, that meant more than anything.
What about you?
Number 1, she was cute.
It helps.
Number 2, she was thick.
Oh, goodness.
Number 2, I liked...
3.
Number 3, thank you, I can't count. Number 3, I liked the fact that immediately I could tell that she was a supportive, she was a go-getter. And I did want to hitch myself this time, not that wasn't last time, but I wanted to have something where we were working towards the same goals and supporting one another. And I found that in her immediately, just the way she operated, I was about to go there, even in the kitchen, the way she put away her dishes, the way she was making sure things were in order. And in my mind, I'm like, this is something that I could rock with, and as we talked, like she said, it was just kind of effortless. There was not a lot of, to her point, a lot of hook. I didn't think she was trying to get me for my money. I didn't have any at that time. But
because she just looked at you like, you ain't had nothing.
She's like, if you lie right here, y'all saw that look. Y'all saw that look. So again, it was about completing the circle and knowing that, or feeling like it was somebody that, and what I tell you guys all the time, you want to be with someone that can help you get to where you're going and stay where you're going to get. Let me repeat that. Get to where you're going and stay where you're going to get. And I felt like she was someone that could help me get to where we were going and stay where we're going to get to. And so that was it.
Awesome. That's so cute. Okay, so the next question is, what promises did you all make to God before you met each other? So in the aspect of like yourselves, relationship, or whatever, what promises did you all make to, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
I remember the day it happened. I don't know the date, but I know what I was doing. I was in the kitchen. I was cooking ramen noodles and Polish sausage. And I just kind of looked around. You know, at that time, I was making $17,500 before taxes. $17,500 before taxes. Trying to pay, you know, rent, mortgage, whatever it was, a car note, take care of, you know, food, groceries, and it was tough. And so I remember being angry, and I slammed the skillet down, and I was like, God, is this all you have for me? Is this it? Do you have more for me than what I can see right now and what I was experiencing? Because I was frustrated. And this was way before Jess and I met. Not long before, but a pretty good time, several months. And God just clearly spoke to me. He said, it's not. But you have to make some changes. And so I'm like, okay. Just like we're talking here, it was just audible to me. You have to make some changes. And so, you know, I went through that phase of, you know, I swore off dating. You know, there were just things that I had to peel back, you know, get my mind right. You know, I started going to church and getting involved in the men's ministry. And when I did that, it was not 3 or so months that we saw each other. And we had been, after we started talking, we had been in the same ministry for almost 2 years or more and had never crossed paths. Never. And I even had one of the gentlemen ask me, he said,
I still swear, I was like, you wasn't at that church.
and I'm like, no, I was there. And we started
I was sitting in row 3.
Right.
See,
right.
I was like, no, you wasn't there, bro. I would have synced you.
And when we, see. So when we started sharing notes, I'm like, I remember, you know, we was at the 1999 and the 2000 watch party. She's like, I was there because I bought X, Y, and Z. And then I was like, and this happened. And so it was just pretty awesome to know that, as you said earlier, God hid us until that specific time. So
what about you? What promises did you make to God?
Well, it was, you know what, it was more, for me, it was more of, I had, not long before meeting Ty, I had come to a place more of surrender.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of myself. I was tired of, as much, you know, even though I was in relationship with Christ and I had come a long way as far as my healing journey and had been going through counseling and just trying to dig through stuff, because I knew that, so same concept, right? That there was more. Mm-hmm. Family was always number one for me. As far as my desire to be married since I was, you know, little, due to my parents being divorced when I was 5 and all of these other types of things. Again, peel more of that back later. But within, I would say, literally within, so with that barbecue was in September, it was summertime. I'll never forget. So it had to have been as maybe like June. So within just a couple months prior to, when I swore off going to, I was like, I'm done going to weddings unless it's mine.
Right.
Not going to not another, because I was in our ministry, weddings, people were meeting back to back and just weddings popping off, you know, just man. And I got tired of, why, number one, why does it upset me that it's not my turn yet? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so in why do I get, you know, not that it was like weird type of jealousy, not that type of, but why am I envious that, well, why do they get to get married? And I haven't been able to experience that yet. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I finally had my own come to Jesus meeting with myself. Mm-hmm. And I just came to a point where I said, you know what, God, I don't even really mean this, but I want to be able to mean it. So I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep saying it until I really mean it. But if it has to be just me and you for the rest of my life, and my primary role is to be Jalen's mom, let me be okay with that.
I would have found you no way anyway.
And so let me be okay if I never get married. Help me get to a point where, okay.
The tissue's over there. The tissue's over there. Let me go
down. I had to come to a place where I wanted to be healthy for myself more than I wanted anything else. And so it was not a promise to God. It was me genuinely wanting to be 100% bona fide surrendered to God for myself and for my son, because I did not want him to go through what I had gone through, as far as I suffered consequences as a result of my parents separately not having their stuff together. And with everything in me, I wanted to do better and be different from my son. So it was me surrendering to God, even though I was honest with Jesus. I don't really 100% know how to mean this, but I want to say it because I want to get to where I really mean it. And when I just surrendered that and made that statement to God, and I was 100% authentic and said, help me get there, Lord. Just whatever you got to do to change me so that I really mean it. That I really mean, if me staying single the rest of my life is the only way for me to have a healthy version of me and to be the best version of me, then make me okay with that. Help me become okay with that. That's when things started to change. And I met him within a few months.
Yep.
So what were three vital steps for you guys to be able to integrate your families together?
Ooh, right. I think.
Can y'all tell we didn't get these questions
right on the front end? So